Bases dropped on a new week of soccer down here. John here, you there. Abe over there. Abe is truly on the Tom Coughlin scale this morning. He is in like way before everybody else. He was, look, get this. Okay, so full disclosure. I was putting highlights in and post from Brad, and we'll hear that after Abe departs, in about 20 minutes. But yeah, I'm dumping highlights in and getting everything ready. Abe pops up at like 9:01. And he's just like, he's ready to go. He's gassed up, ready to talk about Atlanta and Philly in a double match week. So, hi, partner. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A lot better than I thought I would be doing after a 1-1 draw. Let's put it that way. But we've, for once this season, Atlanta United had a couple things maybe slide in their favor. We'll get into it. But it's still all there for them, which is not what I thought I'd be saying if they didn't have 3 points.
Really? I mean, so you thought that 1 point would make even the slightest bit of difference, in your opinion, heading into the stretch run here with a handful of matches to go?
Well, it's not really in my opinion, but in terms of what Atlanta United can control, I mean, yeah. I mean, you got so lucky that Chicago scored a late equalizer against Toronto. And that's the only reason that things are still in your control, because you've got everyone essentially has a game in hand on Toronto, but they're only 3 points away. There was a time late on Saturday night where they were 5 points away, and it was pretty much done. But I thought that they were going to be needing help. As it stands right now, they do still control their own destiny, at least by my calculations. I mean, it's a jumbled mess. You got 8, 9, and 10 all at 37, 11 and 12 all at 34, and then Nashville right behind at 33. So as odd as it seems, depending on results, Atlanta United could actually be in 8th place with a win on Wednesday. So you'd need some help and some other results, but I still think it's right there for the taking. And I did not think I would be saying that without a win. I've been using the same term for the past couple of days here, John. Mm-hmm. And I know how much we all love school, an academy or college or whatever.
University, secondary. Yeah.
What they're doing now, I was never like this. I was an outstanding student, obviously. But I think we all know, if it wasn't you, we all know someone who waited until the night before a paper was due to start the paper.
Yep.
And what do we call that? Procrastination.
Procrastination.
So I've been calling this point procrastination for the past couple of days, because that's really what it is. Okay. And somehow you still have the potential to get this thing in before the deadline, right? But that changes on Wednesday night. I think Wednesday there is no more, boy, you lucked out with some of the other results, you still have a chance. I think that goes away on Wednesday if you don't get 3 points. And so, look, Atlanta United played it a little bit smart, a little bit safe, and they got a little bit of help on the weekend. Quite frankly, I was disappointed in what we saw on Saturday night. I thought you needed to be a little bit more reckless in finding a result. As it turns out, like I said, you were actually okay with the 1 point. But I did not think that would be the case. With 8 minutes left in the Toronto-Chicago match, that wasn't the case. So I thought you needed to be a little, I said it in the Five Stripes countdown. Like, there's a very fine line between like being brave and being reckless.
I was going to say being stupid, yeah.
And I thought that Atlanta United had to go right up to that line to really push as far all in as you possibly could without playing dumb, without like giving yourself no chance to win. I don't think they did that on Saturday, quite frankly. It felt way too often at times, especially in the first half, that they would have been comfortable getting a draw out of that. And I mean, I would have argued that I'd rather have 0 points than 1 point. At least I knew you went for it in that realm. But they didn't go for it. They do still come away with a draw. They still come away with 1 point, and somehow they are still alive in this thing. But it's going to have to be the exact same conversation on Wednesday. I mean, there's just no way around it. you can't get another draw. You've had 3 straight draws now. You cannot get another draw and get into the postseason. It has to be 3 points. And I'll say it again. I'd rather see 0 points than 1 point on Wednesday. You have to go for it in a way that you probably is uncomfortable, in a way that there's probably a lot of abandon in that form, but you have to go for it. Like there's no more time. There's not another night to procrastinate. There's no more asking the teacher for an extension. Like you have 3 games left. You're still in 11th place.
Mm-hmm.
The games are there. The opponents are there. The points are there for you to get in. But you got to get started on this thing, and you can't put it off any longer. And that starts Wednesday. I will say this: we did see some really good performances individually on Saturday night. I think it starts in the back. Brad Guzan, his last couple of games, but really all season long, he has been just when you thought like the time had come, right? And we all know that Father Time, undefeated.
Yep.
But just when you thought he was all right, he's coming off the injury. This is probably what he's going to be, and we'll live with that. But you could see that he's diminished. This season has shown a return to a form that I didn't think he could find, and especially in the last couple of games, as well. And I mean, it's been imperative for him to have had. I mean, what do you have, like 1.6 goals prevented 2 games ago, and like 1.1 or 1.2
in
this way? Like these are crazy numbers. These really are. And how many times over the past like 5-6 years have we just seen some goalie stand on their head against Atlanta United and it just feels like nothing you can do with the ball is going to get past this guy.
Yeah.
And I know that Brad has conceded a couple here and there. He had 2 last game or game before this, and then 1 in this one. But you almost wonder from the perspective of other fans or watching Brad and just be like, man, what do we have to do to get a goal past this guy? It's nice to kind of, even in draws, to kind of be on the other side of this for a moment. So tip of the cap to Brad. He has been simply outstanding down the stretch.
Numbers from the past match, according to our friends at SofaScore, they graded him out at a 7.6. 7 saves, goals prevented 1.25. 1 high claim, saves from inside the box 3, and we'll get some of those saves coming up here in just a little bit. 38 touches, 17 of 24 passing at 71%. 5 of 12 on his long balls. So Brad, as you mentioned, $1.25 goals prevented last time out against Philly. And literally there are times where, and I think to your point, I think that Brad is a year further away from surgery, a year further away from the recovery. And so you become more and more confident about how you're feeling about your body below the waist, considering the injury that he had with the Achilles and then the knee. So I think that the further away you get from those kinds of things, then you get to see the Brad Guzan that we were talking about.
Are you suggesting we're going to have to wait a whole nother year to watch Kirk Cousins lead the offense to a touchdown, or is that where we're at?
Well, it might be that, hey, you're in the same building, so it might very well be that. But I think that with Cousins, since it is a reaction Monday, since I think that with Kirk Cousins, I think that what you're looking at there is someone who's not 100%.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do offensively is, I think, use what skills he may have and work with that. And then, make sure that everybody stays away from him. All of the targets that you're throwing at, make sure they stay away from him. Do quick stuff, do handoffs, rely on Bijan Robinson, those kinds of things. And so it might be later this year with Kirk Cousins. It might be next season, year 2, as you're getting ready for Michael Penix to take over. So, I mean, it's I think you're onto something there.
It might have been a game and a half from him taking over if you didn't pull that one out yesterday, but that's neither here nor there. I think the other point is, and yes, it's the injury, but it's also, and look, like I'm older, I think, than Brad, so like don't take this the wrong way, but like it is in soccer terms the elevated age while returning from the injury. Like it's one thing to be 24 and come off an Achilles, and maybe you can find that form again. right? But to be, what is he, 36, 37, something like that?
Brad is, hey,
Is
man.
he older than that?
Brad's a man. Wow. Brad is a man.
He's older than me. Good for me.
He's 40.
Yeah. So I mean, that's part of the equation is as to why I'm so surprised that he could return to form is just even naturally as a 39-year-old, 40-year-old goalkeeper, you feel like you lose a step. Maybe you can't cover the distance. When you add in the Achilles injury to that, even more so. But that just doesn't seem to be the case. And like, has he maybe lost a slight step or a little bit of reaction time? I mean, sure, that's always going to happen. But, obviously his knowledge of the position, his knowledge of this team, his knowledge of the league has made up for that. And you just don't feel like he's not able to get the job done, especially in recent weeks. He hasn't been – I can't remember a better two-game stretch than he had against Red Bulls and against Philly. And you said a goal and a quarter. Mm-hmm. It was definitely more than that against Red Bulls. I think it was over a goal and a half. I think his, and obviously a lot of that goes to the PK save, right? I think his rating was like 8.1 or something like that on SofaScore. Like the numbers were crazy. But even separate of the PK save, which
8.8 against Red Bulls.
Yeah. So
8 saves, 1.71 goals prevented, 2 punches, 2 high claims, 7 from inside the box, 7 saves inside the box, a PK save, 45 touches, 14 to 28 passing, 12-26 on long balls. Won his only aerial duel. So yeah, Brad was a busy man.
Yeah, but you're talking about in a 2-game stretch back to back. That is over 3 goals statistically prevented. Like that's a crazy number for like the world's best goalkeepers. And to do it as a 40-year-old coming off of the injury a while ago while wearing the captain's armband, rightfully so. It's just as impressive as he's ever been. I don't know how he keeps doing it. I'm glad he's doing it. He's probably going to have to do it another time because, they're starting to round into form, and the last 2 games, our good buddy Joseph Martinez has scored 3 goals in the last 2 games, and so he's starting to heat back up a little bit. It's a game, quite frankly, you have to have. So there's no more walking around it this time.
Never heard of this Martinez individual that you're discussing. Never heard of him. All right, so since we've started at the back, let's take the next step forward and talk about Pedro Amador. Brad made a point post-match to talk about Pedro and how he's integrating into what they're asking him to do. I think that Brad had mentioned after the match that he's looking for Pedro to get more offensive-minded at times, because right now you'll see the occasional inside run from Pedro, but defensively, you're getting what you were looking at when you saw him on tape and you asked around and you kicked the tires on folks. Pedro Amador on the left for Atlanta United has really grown into what they're asking him to do defensively.
Well, a couple of things, and I mentioned this, we get the formation at the same time everyone else does off of social media, and we obviously, I don't know if it's a huge surprise, but we noticed Tyler Wolff in the starting lineup, and I turned to my co-host Garrett Chapman when we're doing this, and I say, I'll tell you what, like, Tyler's not going to give you offensively what some of the other guys are going to do. He's going to be an upgrade defensively up there on the left side. I said, I think you're able to do this because of Pedro Amador and the crosses and the play that he's had on the left wing. And with all due respect to Ronald Hernandez and Caleb Wiley before him, it previously always felt like it was Brooks Lennon getting up to send in a cross. And I think more and more recently, we've seen Pedro Amador on the other side get up to send in a cross. And I think the elevated offense from that left back position did allow you to play Tyler Wolff up top. And obviously there's some depth issues and injuries that also factored in. I'm not going to pretend it was only because of that, but yeah, he has been outstanding. And we talked about Brad Guzan's 2-game run. It's now like a 5-game run for Pedro Amador, where every single game, and I know he only got I think he's only got still the 1 assist a couple of games ago, but it just feels like every single game you're like, man, this guy just feels dangerous. He feels in rhythm, in the flow. The chemistry no longer seems to be an issue. He's had like 5 or 6 game run now where like every time he steps off the field, and Jay Fortune, by the way, also kind of in this group of guys who are like, man, like 4 or 5 straight games, this guy has really brought it. And I think Pedro Amador is kind of leading the charge on that, because look, you did send away a lot of talent, and not that we're forgetting Caleb Wiley, but so much focus was on Giacomakis going away and on Thiago Almada going away. You almost forgot you also sent a kid in Caleb Wiley that was about as good as any, or certainly has the potential to be as good as any. And you always worry about what you're losing in those positions. And just the way that Pedro Amador has picked it up since Ronald Hernandez got hurt, you just don't feel like you've lost that much there. And they play slightly different and slightly different aspects of it. But yeah, he's been outstanding. I know he kind of saved the goal, I guess, a week ago. Didn't know much about it, but ball hit him where.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically he does like almost like a blind behind the back save with the leg, and that starts the run going back the other way that creates the chance and the goal for Atlanta United at the other end. He
just seems like he's involved, especially defensively, in key moments. It just feels like he's always there. You don't seem to be worried about him getting caught upfield. And with all that, he's also still adding to the offense. It's been a very impressive run of games for Pedro Amador, a guy that, again, a lot of us didn't know a ton about. He was brought in maybe with the idea that potentially Caleb was leaving, but we didn't know how much we'd actually see him. But he's been very solid in these, like I said, these last 4 or 5 games for him. Feels like he's gotten more and more impactful every single one.
Abe Gordon at 929 the game, hanging out with us as he always does, batting leadoff as our Ricky Henderson for the week when it comes to everything going on here in the world of soccer with Atlanta United. Pedro against Philly, 6.8 on SofaScore, played the full 90, and had 2 clearances, 1 tackle, 2 for 2 on his ground duels, 1 or 5 in the air. So total 3 for 7 on his duels. It was fouled once, 78 touches. 67% passing at 37 of 55. 1 key pass, to your point. 2 for 3 on his crosses, 4 for 7 on long balls. Had the 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target. So that was Pedro against Philly. And we're just seeing this kind of this back line when it's healthy of Amador, Derek Williams, Steon Gregerson, Brooks Lennon, with the help that you get from the 6, whether it's Bart dropping back or Dax dropping back or Jay dropping back at any given moment. This back line is solidifying itself, and it's like it's no longer, the hello, my name is name tag trying to figure out, okay, who's my partner this week? When these 4 are healthy, you're seeing the results here.
Well, it does you a couple things. And I think we all got locked in with Almada and Giacomakis having to play up the middle, and then kind of Brooks will send it in when he can. And I think because Saba's been, and it's not been a 4 or 5 game run for Saba. It's been a year-long run for Saba. He's been outstanding all season.
Yep.
With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 games in which you could tell he was just tired. He was a little worn down. He is. The fight has been there for Saba all season, but it felt now like you can really attack from anywhere because of the addition of Pedro Amador into this offense. You got Brooks and Saba on one side, and it can come through the middle with Moranchuk. It can come from the wings. It does feel like you're a little bit more well-rounded in finding the attacks. And, I think that can only come because you're confident in the back line. And it's different, right? Like, I think we all like Steon Gregerson. I don't know if we want to see him as many one-on-ones as we let Miles Robinson deal with, right? Like the goal is not to be facing one-on-ones, but you're certainly able to. And I'm surprised at Derek Williams. I think he's had an outstanding season because I did not know what exactly we were going to get from him back there. But it's been a lot of guys stepping up along the back line. This is a team that can't win, or not can't, but like hasn't won in the same way all the time. There are teams in MLS that like you could circle it. And if they're able to do this, they're probably going to win. If they're able to do that, they're probably going to lose. They have to play the exact same style every single game. It just feels fluid. Like we just talked about the offensive attack. The defense feels fluid as well. Like the whole squad feels fluid. But maybe you don't want that. Maybe you wish you could like enact your will upon your opponent a little bit more. But I actually like being able to kind of go with it and swing and move with what the opponent forces you to do. I think it gives you options in the event that, because there are teams that just cannot win a game if they're not playing their style. And look, Atlanta United hadn't been outstanding this year, but I do think that they can kind of move and be malleable with what they're forced to do. And I think that starts with the defense, the confidence there, and also what you have been getting in the defensive midfield a little bit too. So it's been interesting to see. I mean, like midseason, there was this huge flip, right? Where like, all right, like possession's good. If we win possession, that's fine. We're not going to force our way to win possession. If we have to play slightly different, then we will. And look, they've gotten this far they to the point where they still have a season in front of them with 3 games left and opportunity. They just have to take advantage of it now.
Malleable, the word of the morning, Malleable, malleable. All right, so you've got a day and a half. Basically, it is film study, and then it's getting ready, and then it's all of a sudden back at you with some dude named Martinez and Montreal coming to town. What are you anticipating with Montreal coming to town? Because once again, as we sit here and stare at the standings, everything's in play. They're the one that's above you right now. You got to get a win, and then that would even up the number of wins that you would have with Montreal if it came down to tiebreakers and things like that at the end of the season. So got a couple days to catch your breath here and get prepped for Montreal. What are you anticipating with this one coming up in the midweek?
You got to score. I mean, Montreal's allowed 61 goals this season.
When they lose big.
Yeah, DC is the only team in the Eastern Conference that's allowed more goals than Montreal, and so that's the key to it. Is you got to find goals. You're pretty close, pretty even with them on each team and how you're able to score, but defensively you are the better squad, and so it needs to look that way. And you say, hey, Montreal's got blown out a couple times. I don't care if it's 5-1 or 1-0. You got to do everything. And again, I said this about Philly. I was proven wrong to an extent, but I just you're running out of games at this point. You got to find the line between being brave, being courageous, going for it, and being reckless and just abandoning the goal. Because you have to win. You cannot get a 4th straight draw. And like I said, I'd rather come away with 0 points than 1. I need to see the fight that you're going for it full-fledged, knowing that this is a must-win game. I thought Saturday was must-win. Because of the Toronto-Chicago result, it turned out not to be. That's not going to happen. Like you can't look around the rest of the table and the rest of the schedule and say, well, maybe this happens. This team will help bail us out. There is no more bailing out. This is a 6-point swing with a team ahead of you with only 2 games remaining afterwards. You have to get 3 points in this one. And so, like I said, I need to see these guys understand the moment and understand that a draw is not going to be good enough. And again, if it costs you the win, at least I can sit here and say I felt like they went for it, because I did not feel that way on Saturday night. And so you can look at the tape all you want. You can draw up plays and do your matchups all you want, and we can have some stats for you and keys and all this stuff, and that's fine. But you gotta really feel it in your blood, in your bones, that we need this game, and it needs to look that way. And again, I mentioned you can't get dumb 8 minutes into this match, right? And there's a timeline for it to become increasingly more important to find goals and find a win. You don't do it immediately, right? You don't send 10 guys running forward right off the opening kick. I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
But as this game develops, I need to see a certain level of desire and, quite frankly, desperation. And so that's what I'm looking for. And again, if it costs you a draw, going for a win, I'd rather talk about that post game than settling for a point. And so we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if anyone listens to me that much. I don't think. I mean, but like, if I'm Rob Valentino, like I would literally tell them, like, don't come back to me with a point. Like do not. I don't care if we lose in the 89th minute, in the 93rd minute. Do not come back into this locker room with 1 point. It had better be 3 or 0, because anything else is unacceptable. And so we'll see if that's how it plays itself out. I know that's not necessarily the ideal message, but like that's the moment. Like that's what it is right now. You're not going to the playoffs with 1 point. You're not going to the playoffs with 0 either. I think we understand that, but you're not going with 1.
Right.
So to me, it's all or nothing. It's 3 or nothing in this one. And I want to see them look like that, play like that. And if you need to start ramping it up and getting dangerous in the 55th minute, in the 60th minute, then go for it and do whatever you have to do. But don't come back with 1 point.
Question from Abby. Abby wants to know if you're going to be at the game Wednesday because Shana Tova Wednesday, sundown to all. So are you going to be there?
I will be there. Yes. I won't be there right at the start because we got the pregame show, but I will be sliding in. You think they're going to have a little bit of apples and honey for us up in the press box?
I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe
they had Bananas Foster for the Miami game. That was kind of close enough, right?
Oh, see, now I didn't get the chance to sample the Bananas Foster.
I'm on a diet, so I didn't either.
But yes,
I know.
I was wondering what was going on at that table, and I had no idea. And then everybody's like, "Yeah, it's Bananas Foster." I'm like, "Are you ishing me?"
No, man.
Come on. I was not. But I think you can import. I think that if you brought in the apples and honey into the MBS, I think you'd be in good shape.
Well, they got like honey packets now. I don't need like the weird capsule. They have like little packets you can
or the plastic bear that you unscrew the cap.
Yeah, I don't want that because that if that spills in my bag, then the bag's done.
That's not.
I don't want to take any chance. I guess I could just like throw it in a Ziploc, and that would probably save myself the concern. But
I think so. We will see you at MBS on Wednesday, my friend. Great to catch up as we always do to start the week with you here when it comes to Atlanta United.
Absolutely. 3 points or 0. Don't give me a draw.
No draws for A. Be good, my friend. We'll see you in a couple days.
We'll see you.